Welcome back. So today there is no red folder. Um, yeah, but I mean we're in the midst of a red folder week though, pretty high. So it's something I'll gladly trade today if there's an opportunity. Um, so on this 15 minute, so we had Asia high taken by London. So I think of London high as high resistance, and then that level was also taken, creating this 15-minute high resistance. There's now these low resistance highs stacked up right here. Already right at the open, took one. It'd be nice if it takes another. Okay, and then like with that, be more confident to take it down. Right before all this time-based low resistance, there's this 15-minute high resistance. So I just need to see like clear displacement. But even at this point, with this one level here, I would be fine. You know, taking a sell on this. So okay, now not in like one candle, but we'll see what it does. But like 4 hour, a little bit mixed bag. Um, I think all this is going to be taken out though. Right at the open, I suppose. This might be a little. I'm usually not. It's not really like to me the. I don't know. I mean, it's giving everything I'd need though for this. I'd give it low risk if it's really gonna be just like right at the open. All right. Well, I mean, it has everything that I need, so I'll do a low risk. Just because it is so close to the open 24 cents. So I'm gonna break even this trade. Because it just traded into London. And with all this volume, it should flow through it because we have this low, all this low resistance draw and this. I'm gonna, if it does go to, okay, trading view. If it does go to Asia low, then that's where I would get up really heavily on it. see it as it should have the momentum to flow through this, so I'm not going to overcomplicate it. 24, 8, 10. I'll draw it out. It looks like it. I don't like what I see, but it's fine. It's just gonna do what it's gonna do. Nasdaq is really challenging. I mean, if it, it still it hasn't stopped anything out yet, and it is London low. I understand, but Nasdaq can really be challenging. Like to just gauge exactly like how to do this. It's just got to put in the reps, I guess. It did give an inverted fair value gap from London low, so we'll see if that entry pattern gets smacked. It has a very low probability. It has about a 30% probability of playing out. It looks like it's going to get clapped. We'll see, but whatever. I'm going to turn this off for a sec. All right, so I had to use my discretion on that. Just took it right off in here for about a 1-to-1. Didn't get an insane amount off that, really. Got basically a 1-to-1. So, whatever. I'm not going to be trading more. But, maybe it goes down further. A lot of that discretion is just this understanding that there's so much volume at this time. Like this is such an early trade. There's so much volume coming in. Really like through this levels. Like if you have a clear draw and you have a ton of volume through it, you have this like it's like massive. Like price is massive. It's very heavy when you have the volume. Volume is like mass in engineering. And so like when I see that, okay, there's a really clear, I call it a gradient, but there's like a really clear draw, and then there's all this mass to price. When it trades into these like London lows and these low resistance levels, and there's much more draw below, that's where I'm like, with all of this mass, which is it at the open, especially right now, it should just flush hard and heavily through that. And when it doesn't, that's where I'm like, well, this is something, uninterested. I got, what it gave to here. And maybe it holds and then it goes lower. But if it were later in the session, this would be a trade that I wouldn't have trailed at all, probably even at this point. If it was like, for example, past 10 or something, because the lower the volume I anticipate it has less mass. It's going to like be able to be hit around more. So when it hits the liquidity, it's just going to kind of like, maybe it hits it, it'll consolidate a bit, do this. I think this is a higher probability after sweeping this of actually like going up to this break even and up in here, but we'll see what it does. I got a little bit off of it, and yeah, it's just about getting these reps. That's all that it is. So I'm in this spot with trading where it's like I've just realized like it really is about just me actually like getting the reps in on this. I really like the strategy that I have, but like it's the most subtle decisions that you make are the things that actually lead to profitability. Like conceptually understanding, this strategy that I'm using is very easy to do. You can, look at it and you can try and make it mechanical, and it's going to suck if you try and make it mechanical. But like it's these very subtle things, like how you're just very, very subtle things that will lead to, a 3 hour day versus a -1 hour day. Like truly insane things, how it's just like these tiny little decisions. And like you look at anybody, like somebody who, think of somebody in, I don't know, in like if you're a runner, right? And it's like you have a 5 minute mile, and now you're getting towards like a uh like you're trying to do a 4:45. There's like just as much work to get that 15-second difference as like going from like a 10-minute mile to a 6-minute mile. So it's like that's where it's like this in trading. It feels like I'm like, this is exactly, it's like that. To actually be able to make those subtle decisions, like I have to get so good, and that just comes in from putting in the reps. So I'm going to end this one pretty quick. So I'm going to watch it probably till 10 just to see like if this move ends up completing, but I'll end this video soon. right about average volume too. It's the same concept as like yesterday. Like, well, this is what I'm. Oh shoot, this is what I'm talking about. So it's like yesterday. If I had managed a little bit differently, not been so aggressive at a time when I shouldn't have been so aggressive, right? That trade would have played out just fine instead of me taking a loss, right? And it's like, and it was more like to right here. That's a huge difference. If I got stopped out here instead of here, right? So those tiny little, like, the trade was fine. You know, the stop loss, the take profit, all that was fine. It's just the management was off in that one. But um, you know, sometimes like uh, how do I say this? So I guess you know, a focus of mine right now is to make sure I'm taking high quality trades, right? So it's less trades and um, yeah, less trades and like having a lot of conviction in that stop loss and take profit. But like what time of day it is, the movement of the session, like again the volume, the red folder, everything like comes into play of like how am I going to manage this? I would manage this trade, that one right there, a lot differently than this one, a lot differently. But like that requires me actually like deeply knowing why the market moves. So, and we'll see what this one does. You know, again, it's like I have to just put in the reps and it'll get there, but it's those it's the subtle decisions. So again, this is what I'm talking about. Like these are the differences, right? Between profitability and not. It's subtle decisions. And if price were to, have come up to break even, and then it's like you have to just keep putting in the reps. That's all. That's all I know for myself. Um, yeah, it's it's just like a cake mix, and figuring out exactly how to use these ingredients. Um, yeah. I do love liquidity, though. I'll be honest. Like liquidity is quite an incredible thing. I think it is much more important. Well, like one thing I've noticed is that like when you come into when you come into the market like at the open, equity market open in Nasdaq, it's almost always a range, right? It's not it doesn't look like this, right? It usually, well, I mean, I guess sometimes it could, but it usually looks like this, like, right. And so it's like it's not really like a trend. It's more just like a range, and then you have liquidity on different sides, and then you have this injection which manipulates, right? And then you get a displacement. It just does it at like every time, and it's just like it's not like, again, for example, like I find liquidity fascinating. Like we have this low resistance level, but look at what this is: high resistance, right? So we have this high resistance right before it, front running it, and what do you get? You get price trading back in, regaining fuel to potentially complete this move. But it's just like liquidity is a fascinating thing, and I'm noticing that the 15-minute is better than the 1 hour in terms of precision for for Nasdaq um, at this time. That's why It's just like a observation. I can make more precise conclusions. Yeah, but it's a range. So like if you were trading like a 4 hour, there's much more of like this. If you're like a swing trader, there's much more of this trend nature going on. But when you're trading the open, you look at any open, right? Like you look at any open right here, right here. Yes, it ends up moving, but like the open, the day, you have the Asian range, the London. Like generally they're ranges. They're not like clear trends. Almost never, like it really is rare, right? Again, like range, you have a range. These are all the opens, right? And so that's where I'm like, okay, liquidity, that's where I came to the conclusion that liquidity is more important than like this trend concepts. And so lower time frame displacements, that is important. Lower time frame, you see in a lower time frame, there's much more of that trend action, right? Um, and that's because there's that more opportunity for there's more candles to make those trends. So it's all that like fractalization, but um, yeah. So it's a very simple concept. It's like, well, if you have a bunch of volume coming in, and you have liquidity that's taken, like liquidity that's taken in this range, and then liquidity that's open, um, when you get this lower time frame manipulation and displacement, it's just very likely it's going to move to that open liquidity. That's what I'm figuring out. So that's why I'm trading it like this. Yeah, the point is, I think liquidity is more important than, I think it's more important than 15-minute displacement. Like, for example, we can look here, right? This displacement, 15-minute displacement, that was utterly erased. So it's kind of the same concept. So now 15-minute displacement too, when it's in alignment with liquidity, like yesterday, that's when I took this from this 15-minute displacement, this fair value gap, took a trade from it, right? That's because it's in alignment with these low resistance draws here, and here, after creating all this high resistance. So yeah. But anyway, I got a lot less of this, so that's okay. Again, these decisions, you just got to get better and better, because it's like, how do you know? Like, sometimes it'll reverse on you, sometimes it won't. It's like, how do you know what to do? You just have to get good at it, honestly. And just basically, it's like, I'll never be perfect. But what I certainly will do is get closer and closer to perfection. And that's just, that's how becoming masterful in anything works. You get closer and closer to perfection. You'll never get there, though. So I want to see if 10 just like erases, just like smacks this, or if it does something else. But so I took this trade on the 932 candle. It's very rare. It does not usually do that. All right, I'm gonna get off.